Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable DPMs, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament. I'm honored to enlighten this distinguished House regarding the Open Skies Air Service Agreements in relation to Fiji's aviation policy. Fiji's aviation sector is pivotal, linking Fijians globally, bolstering tourism, trade and employment, and serving our Pacific communities. It is a cornerstone of economic activity with various metrics highlighting its significance. Mr. Speaker, sir, the coalition government has endorsed amending the civil aviation policy to adopt open skies on a case-by-case basis, recognizing both global benefits and regional challenges. The industry is a global connector, fostering interactions among people, cultures, and businesses. It is a substantial economic contributor, with the International Air Transport Association, IATA, reporting that Fiji's air transport, including airlines and their supply chain, supports some US dollars 465 billion of GDP, with foreign tourism for Fiji, with foreign tourism adding US 1.7 billion, totaling 43% of the nation's GDP. Despite challenges, aviation has shown resilience and growth, doubling in size every 15 years. Fiji's aviation policy framework aims to enhance connectivity, ensuring efficient market access, air navigation, aircraft and airport systems, and security, yielding benefits like improved travel experiences, economic growth, and increased traffic. Mr. Speaker, sir, the aviation industry access to markets worldwide relies heavily on air services agreements, or known as ASAs, also known as air transport agreements, or bilateral and multilateral air agreements. These contracts between countries set the terms and regulations for international air transport services. They provide the framework for airlines from the participating countries to offer passengers and cargo services. As an illustration, Fiji has 27 traditional bilateral air services agreements with other nations. For instance, our current ASA with the United States permits Fiji to fly to Honolulu, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Any expansion to additional US destinations would require further negotiations between the Fijian and the US government. Efforts over the past few years to amend this agreement with the United States have been unsuccessful. The United States is a leader in open skies air services agreements, and it has always viewed Fiji aviation policy as restrictive. Traditional ASAs govern several critical areas, including airline designation, ownership and control, routes and capacity, tariffs and pricing, safety and security, customs and immigration, as well as code sharing and alliances. Mr. Speaker, sir, traditional bilateral air services agreements often involve reciprocal benefits, where each country secured advantages for their carriers, sometimes neglecting consumer interests. Increasing international market access for air service providers is crucial for maximizing the air transport sector's economic contribution. Liberalization, as seen in open skies agreements, reduces regulations on capacity and frequency, fostering competition, promoting travel and trade, and boosting productivity. Open skies agreements allow unlimited commercial services by designated airlines without needing explicit ministerial approval for routes, capacity, frequency, and pricing. Sovereignty is preserved, with interventions limited to safety and security. These agreements liberalize and deregulate the international aviation market. Key features include no route restrictions, unlimited frequency and capacity, and deregulated pricing, where airlines set fares based on market conditions. Mr. Speaker, sir, The degree of sky openness is determined by the 9 freedoms of the air outlined in the 1944 Convention on International Civil Aviation. Number 1 is the first freedom, fly across a country without landing. The second freedom, land for non-traffic purposes. Third freedom, drop off passengers from the airline's home country. The fourth freedom, pick up passengers to take to the airline's home country. Fifth freedom, carry passengers between 2 foreign countries during flights that also touch the airline's home country. Beyond this, the International Civil Aviation Organization considers the additional freedoms, so-called as they aren't widely recognized by treaty. The sixth freedom is carry passengers between 2 foreign countries via the airline's home country. The seventh freedom is operate flights between 2 foreign countries without touching the airline's home country. The eighth freedom, transport cabotage traffic between 2 points within a foreign country as part of a flight to and from the home country. And the ninth freedom, transport cabotage traffic entirely within a foreign country. Mr. Speaker, sir, bilateral open skies air services agreements provide unrestricted market access, including third, fourth, and fifth freedom traffic rights, capacities, frequencies, code sharing, and tariffs. The first agreement was signed in 1992 between the Netherlands and the United States. Since then, over 300 such agreements have been signed involving more than 150 countries, with the US leading with 119 agreements. Many countries have also signed open skies agreements with the European Union or its members. Open skies agreements have driven the continuous growth of air traffic. These measures enhance market and capital access, leading to better connectivity, sustainable economic development, and stronger, more passenger-friendly carriers and airports. Opening the air transport market results in more efficient airspace utilization, competitive fares, and more travel choices. Liberalization positively impacts tourism, employment, and the economy. Improved air cargo connectivity boosts productivity, opens new markets, enhances exports, and increases domestic market competition from foreign producers. The push for regulatory convergence on liberalization and competition at bilateral and regional levels underscores its importance. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are now embracing open skies very boldly. The Maldives, similar to the small island developing states like Fiji, faces limitations due to small landmass and high transport costs. However, its open skies policy has eliminated isolation issues, ensuring good connections to labor and markets. In 2023, the Maldives welcomed 1.878 million visitors, a 12% increase over 2022, showing the benefits of open skies. Our neighbors, Australia, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea, have adopted open skies policies, reaping benefits such as increased travel and trade, enhanced productivity, and high-quality job creation. We must envisage a future without constraints. While Fiji previously believed that open skies weren't suitable for small economies, this hasn't been tested. Our coalition government is now promoting and adopting open skies. Mr. Speaker, sir, with liberalization, discussions are underway with the United States to finalize an open skies agreement, allowing a national carrier to operate to various US destinations, thereby boosting trade and tourism. We support our national airline and are committed to elevating economic growth through enhanced air connectivity, competition, and better consumer choices. We have embraced open skies in our aviation policy to ensure Fiji is not left behind. Mr. Speaker, sir, the coalition government fully supports our national airlines network diversification plans to enhance profitability through the open skies policies. We believe open skies agreements will enable airlines to operate commercially, allocate capital efficiently, and adapt to changes. This policy will help our national airline expand, optimize capacity and ownership, and improve return on investment. We will, however, closely monitor global open skies trends to ensure no negative impact on national airline. We have taken a balanced approach to liberalization, providing flexibility and freedom, while ensuring local air transport remains profitable and continuous. Fiji commits to evaluating open skies agreements individually, considering economic, strategic, and operational factors. We support this transition to open skies, working with stakeholders to ensure it aligns with national objectives. This policy balances global open sky strengths with Fiji's unique context, emphasizing flexibility, pragmatism, and national interests. For tourism, Honourable Speaker, Fiji achieved a significant milestone by welcoming a record 929,740,000 visitors in 2023. The surge in tourism contributed over $3.3 billion in revenue, exceeding our financial goals a year ahead of schedule. Looking forward into 2024, we expect a steady growth in visitor arrivals, projected to increase by 2 to 5% compared to the previous year. With improved airline capacity, we anticipate better accessibility to islands and an average of 8 to 12% increases in flights. The thriving investment environment in Fiji, marked by the opening of new resorts and the launch of significant developments, signals a strong investment scene, promising a bright future for our tourism. Mr. Speaker, sir, over the next 4 years, we plan to grow our visitor economy by an additional $1 billion, and that is very exciting indeed for Fiji, Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was horrified by the poor attitude shown by the Honourable Maharaj towards tourism. He said on Monday, and I quote, "Vanuatu economy does not depend on tourism. We do not rely on tourism."
Listen.
Honourable Speaker, Vanuatu has huge potential for tourism,
Exactly.
and so it increase its share of the billions in tourism and help make more billions from tourism for Fiji. He scoffed at the $200 billion US that will be deployed in Vanuatu to increase the infrastructure, improve the infrastructure, and improve the opportunities for tourism, Honourable Speaker. And that's $447 million, Honourable Speaker. I wish you all agree that tourism is important, also for Vanuatu. And for the coalition government, we are applying about $200 million there, US, to create an environment conducive to tourism in there, Honourable Speaker. I know, Honourable Speaker, that the airfare is still high in Vanuatu, but with this improved investments, improving infrastructure, with the ATR landing in Taveuni and Lombasa, and better connectivity in Savu with frequency and volume, the airfares will come down. It's simple economics. So we are going there. We are getting there. More frequency, more volume, the airfare will come down. So it's not a time to be scoffing at all these programs, Honourable Speaker.
No idea.
The open sky policy, Mr. Speaker, is expected to significantly enhance Fiji's tourism industry, a major source of revenue and employment. This policy change is set to create new opportunities for Fiji's tourism and emerging industries, improve connectivity and potentially increase visitor numbers, which are crucial for the nation's economy. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, open skies offer significant economic benefits for consumers, airlines, airports, communities, and economies. Increasing international market access to a national airline is crucial for maximizing the air transport sector's economic contribution. Let us unite in support of Fiji Airways and allow it to thrive under the open skies policy. Now, thank you, Honourable Speaker.